Hey everybody, Javon Goodwater here, giving you a wrap up for the Laurel Highlands Trail. Um, so it is a 70-mile trail that terminates in the town of Ohiopyle, Pennsylvania. Or begins, yeah, depending on which way you go. So what we have done twice now is we have taken a shuttle by
Wilderness Voyagers, which is in the town of Ohiopyle.
So we did summarize this in the other videos, but they will, for a fee, drive you to the other end of the trail, and then you just hike back into town.
To where your car is.
And you can park your car across the street across the train tracks in a stone parking lot over there. You just need a permit, I think.
You sign in at the visitor center in Ohiopyle, which is down close to the river. There are also facilities there. Start showering.
Yeah.
From
the other end of town.
It's a huge river, Rat River town. So you have a lot of other
kayakers and
and the bike canal rail trail goes right through there as well. So it's very popular.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a great town, but good place to take a little vacation.
Yes.
Anyway, back to the trail. So we used them twice now to drive us out. I think it's about an hour and a half drive.
Yeah, it's more like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, out to the other end of the trail. But the nice thing is then you're just walking back into town, so you don't have to try to coordinate when to get picked up at the other end. You're not sitting around waiting. I think there's service out there, so if you did go that direction, at least we had service with Verizon. So anyway,
I wouldn't count on it though.
Yeah, I think it's
kind of remote.
It was a little easier just to go this way, especially if you're early or late. It is an hour and a half drive for them to get out there to pick you up. So we just like going this direction, the ease of just ending in town at our vehicle. So again, 70-mile trail. Every mile has a little concrete mile marker, which is kind of neat, little neat thing to see every mile. And we've done it twice now, and I think we've done it in 6 days. I think
both of them were, yes.
Yeah, 6 days each time. So you kind of see our itinerary through this video. Other than that one day when we shortened up because of the rain this time.
Yeah.
We stayed at all the shelters.
Those miles are the miles and the days because you have to stay at a shelter, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But once again, you can't just stealth camp anywhere you want to. After a 20-mile day, you have to kind of go shelter by shelter.
Right. So the trail runs, I don't even know if it has an official direction as far as Nobo, Sobo kind of thing. It runs more or less from Ohiopyle is on the southwest end, and the other terminus is northeast. So it's really kind of a Weibo trail, westbound, eastbound, westbound, rather than north-south. But so we went westbound or southbound, depending on which direction you want to call it. So that's what we did both times, and enjoyed both of those. So the trail itself. You want to talk about that a little?
I mean, as far as terrain is concerned for Pennsylvania, it's pretty mild, moderate if you've done the Appalachian Trail in any regards or any other Pennsylvania trail. So it's kind of rolling. There's not a huge, element of elevation. So it's a very nice beginner, longer term backpacking through hike, if you want to call it that, if it's worthy of that status. But yeah, it's very nice. There's not a lot of technical terrain at all. At the same time though, there are huge boulders, and the scenery is fantastic. It's very nice.
Yeah, it's wooded the whole pretty much the whole way. There's a few places that I guess that it's you go through some pastures or some kind of. You pass through the ski resort, so that's a little bit different. So yeah, there's some neat things to see. Not many views per se, but yeah, I mean there were a little bit more since we were there in the fall. The leaves were starting to thin a little bit, so that was nice. And there was something. Oh, I was just going to say, I will at the end of this, I will put an elevation map at the end of this video so you can see. And we talk about this from doing it westbound. So you start out by going uphill.
Well, you do regardless.
Right.
Even
Either way.
Even
Yes.
out of Ohio Pile,
That's
you're
true.
climbing up.
Either way, yes, because most of the trail, almost
ridge.
the entire trail is ridge.
Yeah.
So it's not to say that it's flat. You're rolling and you're up and down a little bit within that, but for the most part, you climb and descend at the ends of the trail, and so it's really not that bad. But again, and now thinking, having done it most recently again, I feel like the climb up coming westbound, the climb up at the beginning was far easier than the climb up would have been had we gone the other direction, had we left town.
I think it's more steep out of Ohio Pile, yes.
Yes, steep and longer.
Yes.
Again, kind of glad that we chose to do it that direction for that sake, too. So
it's a very well maintained trail. Also, you're not gonna, if there are blowdowns, I think they're. I mean, we didn't have any issues finding the trail, keeping the trail, just going over obstacles, tree fall, that type of thing. So it's a very easy,
and
well maintained trail.
Yeah, maintained and well used enough that it's easy to find it, even just if you're not looking for the blazes and things like that. And again, every mile there's a little concrete pillar that shows you what mileage is.
Right.
So at least that's something. And when you are going through the ski resort, I feel like that's the only time that it's a little bit, not confusing, but sometimes the trees can obscure their signs,
right.
To know where the next one is. So you just kind of have to look around a little bit. We meandered slightly, just trying to find it because the trees were blocking. So, but otherwise, it's very easy and very well, like I said, maintained. It's a great trail. So you started to talk about the reservations.
So prior to going out, you do have to, you have to reserve different either tent spaces or shelters as you are going along the trail. So we just kind of piecemealed out that we were going to do 15 miles. So we skipped every other shelter, situations, status as kind of we went through. But yeah, you just go on to the website, Laurel Highlands, and you can easily just reserve the different shelters that they have there. You can do tent sites as well, but once again, we did shelters just so that we didn't have to carry our tent this time around. And we knew that we could build a fire if we wanted to, that we had some kind of hard shelter, every night when we were kind of coming into camp, which is really nice. So our pit toilets there. There's running water there as well. They usually have pumps. Some of them are easy to navigate than others. But yeah, the shelters are wonderful, as you've seen within the videos, and they're very clean. Once again, everything seems to be very well maintained and taken care of in that regard. Yeah,
and I was glad that we, again, did the shelters, not only because we didn't have to carry the tent, but this time in particular, just with so much rain. Last time, I think we had a day of rain.
Yes.
This time we had almost every day we had rain. So it was nice to just get in and spread out our stuff, dry out, make a fire in the fireplace, which was hard enough with all the wet wood. But being outside in the rain would have just been impossible.
It would have been wet every day. Yeah. And putting on wet gear every day.
Yeah, soaked.
Yeah.
So that was just nice. Not that we haven't done that before, but it was nice to not have to do that this time. So, and yes, the shelters are great. We did have, I'm sure we had others, but we know of one mouse that visited us the one night.
Yeah,
so.
but didn't damage anything or chew through anything.
No.
So we did have actually 2 rangers who saw us throughout the course of the 5 nights that we were out there camping, and they did check the permits. So just to be aware of it, they do check. And actually, when we were there in July, the first time, there was a couple who did not have a reservation. And I think that they were allowed to stay because, there was nobody else, kind of in that space. But at the same time, I think that they were fined because they didn't have the reservation that is required. Yeah. So reservation, I think, is maybe like $8-10 a night for a shelter or something like that. It's not expensive. It's just a matter of
and not worth the fine.
And it's giving back to the trail. Like I said, it's a beautiful system to kind of hike through.
Right. Yeah. So water. First of all, we touched on that a little bit already. Every shelter area has a water pump Yes, they may be slightly difficult. You may have to pump for a minute or so to kind of get the water up and out of the ground and out the spigot, but they do work, which is a great. Make sure
you're camping into water every night, which is nice. Yeah, that you have water at the end of the day.
You'll have water at least at the end of the day. Of course, you can go to the shelters in between if you're passing by. Sure. The pumps were really nice, but yes, we did filter that water as well. I would definitely do that. Water on the trail, though, I think both times. I mean, it's not everywhere.
I feel like we had more in July when we were there than we did in October this last time, only because it was a very dry season and hot summer in Pennsylvania. So I don't think, while we crossed a lot of creek beds, they were dry. There wasn't a lot of running water on the trail. So that's something to consider as well seasonally if when you're out
Even with the amount of rain that we had on this trip.
Right.
There was still, the creeks were low.
It wasn't enough to replenish what was lost, I think, over the very hot summer that was here.
Right.
So.
So there are opportunities to get water on trail. It's really, I guess, just going to depend, as always, with the year. And like I said, I recall that as well. The streams were much fuller in July the first time we did it than they were this time in the fall, which seems counterintuitive.
Right, but it was dry.
Yeah. So, resupply. So we did not, either time, resupply. No. We carried our food for all 6 days. Which wasn't a problem, but there is an opportunity for maybe a small resupply, I would say.
We were kind of surprised.
Yeah. There's a really nice Highlands market, and I did put it in one of the videos. I don't remember the road crossing off the top of my head, but it's about halfway through. Near Seven Springs ski resort, pretty close to there, and it's just a small market. Maybe a quarter mile down the road, something like that.
It's
off
definitely
the trail.
walkable.
Yeah, it's easily walkable, and it was a really nice place. We stopped in the first time just to get some juice and ice cream, even though it was 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, but this time we did not stop because of the rain. We just wanted to keep going. So, but you could. They have a little deli there. I think they make sandwiches. They have drinks and candy bars and whatever, and chips and that kind of stuff.
You could just supplement whatever.
Yeah, so maybe not a full resupply per se, but you could definitely you could supplement and fill in, and just get a snack. So, gear. We take what we always take, except our tent. I think that's the only difference.
Although we did take a bear canister this time in October, just because we had them,
right? And
we knew that rodents potentially could be a problem because anytime that you're in a shelter and other people are in that shelter, you never know. Right. And while we did not have any issues, we did take the bear cans this time.
Yes, yeah,
which was fine.
The first time we did actually, at the last shelter. Had my food bag was chewed. We had just walked down to the bathroom and back.
Oh, that's right.
And I did get a hole in my bear bag, which I had left. And now it wasn't the Ursacks that we're using now. It was really just a sling sack that we were hanging, but I hadn't hung it yet, and it was sitting in the shelter. And I did get a hole chewed in the corner of it.
Doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much. It was the same shelter where we saw the mouse this time, ironically. So. Anyway, so yes, we haven't done it yet, but we do plan to put a gear video together. We pretty much take the same thing no matter what trail we're on. For the most part, we take the same gear. So that video will, when we eventually get around to doing it, will apply to pretty much every trail that we do. We just swap out little things here and there. So that's pretty much it that we were going to talk about, other than just our overall experience for the entire trail, which, again, I think it's a great trail. Like you said, I was thinking the same thing. It's a great kind of way to break yourself into backpacking a little bit.
Into a longer duration of time.
Not just an overnight or weekend. So, it's a 5-6 day with a nice opportunity for some food in the middle at the Highlands Market, and not overly difficult. Ridge walking for the most part, some neat rock formations, things like that. So So, I mean, I'd love to do it again, even maybe a little bit deeper into the fall.
That's what I was going to say as well. Yes. I mean, we were there. You never know when you make these plans what it's going to be like when you're not in that specific space. But yes, I would think later on in fall as well, when it's hopefully and dry.
And we were piggybacking this off of a couple of other outings, so it was that's when it was going to happen. So for us. So yeah, I'm sure other people do it at other times of the year, possibly even in the winter time.
I think so, yeah.
Which probably would be a neat thing to do as well. I mean, if you use, I don't know, snowshoe or something like that, if there's a neat, that would probably be a great trail to do in that situation as well. So, all right, so that's it. That's the Laurel Highlands Trail. Hope you enjoyed those videos. Thanks for watching. And again, I will put the elevation map coming up next. All right. See you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.